Off of our lunch break with a little bit of our favorite soda. And if you want to read what my buddy James decided would be good for lunch, we got 28 donuts for $10. Not a bad deal, but not the best. Alright, so getting into the deck tech, today we're doing modern dragons. A little odd, but let's start it off. Start out with a Haven of the Spirit Dragon, ramps for dragons, and returns an Ugin or a colorless creature. Island, swamp, swamp, forest, forest, mountain, mountain, mountain. Got quite a few basics in here. It's kind of an odd deck. It's like a 4-color fun stuff. Starting out with our non-basic lands, other than the Haven, we have a Drowned Catacomb, Dragonskull Summit, and a Rootbound Crag. These are nice. Usually don't enter the battlefield tapped, because we have some fun land seeking shenanigans. Got a Temple of Deceit, Temple of Epiphany, and a Temple of Mystery. Scrylands, they're pretty nice. This foil promo one here is beautiful artwork if you want to take a look at that. I'm just in love with that. So mysterious looking. Then we have a bunch of fetch lands. We've got a Polluted Delta, Bloodstained Mire, 2 Wooded Foothills. Yeah, these are all pretty pricey as of right now. I'm really glad about the reprint of them, and hopefully in the Battle for Zendikar we're going to see reprints of Verdant Catacombs and all those other fetch lands. So, what are you guys' opinions on those new fetch lands? I'm pretty glad they came out. Here we have a Savage Lands. Enters tapped, but for 3 different colors, it's well worth. 2 of the nice little ramp cards. We got 2 Generator Servant. Sacrifice to add 2, spend this for a creature, and it has haste. It's pretty nice. It's not my favorite card, and it feels a little bit wonky at times, but it definitely has its spot. We have 2 Dragonlord Servant. Dragon spells cost 1 less. Well, your 5 drops or 4 drops, your 6 drops or 5 drops, so you know what, it's pretty nice. The Elder, untap 2 target lands. Now, this is nice because it's not forest specifically, and I feel like a lot of elf type cards are only focusing on like basic lands or forests. So this Elder's nice. It mana fixes, it's nice, and it ramps pretty hard because you can just take 2 lands over here, tap them for 2, tap this, and then tap them. Now you have 4 mana, which is pretty nice. Thunderlord Regent. This was a pre-order item that me and James definitely went after because we figured if standard dragons ever became a thing, this guy would be expensive. And he's, James, how much is he?
$12.
Yeah, he's $12 right now, and we pre-ordered him for like $5, so it's nice. If getting to the actual card, it's a lightning bolt your opponent whenever they target a dragon, which a lot of the creatures that you're going to want to be protecting are dragons, so this guy's nice. Oh, and that's a 4 mana for 4/4 with flying, so that's already pretty nice. Prophet of Kruphix. James likes this guy. I like him too. Creatures have flash, that's nice, and you get to untap your lands. That's not too important in this deck, but in other decks that are playing more of like a control type deck, it does matter, because they have mana to cast their spells and then mana for counter spells. But in this deck, it's mostly for the flash ability. And we have a Scourge of Valkis. He's a fun card. He's a 5 mana 4/4, and he has fire breathing on there, which is nice. And whenever him or another dragon deals X damage, where X is the number of dragons you control. You could do some fun shenanigans with Vivara Hellkite, which basically allows you to win on the spot. And then Callaghan Storm's Fury. This guy allows you to make your dragons bigger with his first ability, and he has Dash for Vive, and I really like Dash. It allows your creatures to dodge evasion, or to dodge creature removal spells, and it just makes it like, I don't know, during the pre-release and drafting with Fate Reforged, I really like Dash. It made it hard for your opponent to keep track of everything that was happening in your hand, and I just really like it. Now these guys, you get your Savage Ventmaw. These guys ramp really hard. Whenever it attacks, add 6, and this doesn't empty at the end of steps or phases. So attack during your combat, and then during your main, you get 6 mana. That's pretty nice, being that you could play another dragon with that 6 mana. Not to mention, his mana cost is high for his body, but I mean, a 6 mana 4/4 with flying has been printed before, but not with an ability that nice. Scourge of the Throne. He's really good when you're losing because he has the throne. And whenever he attacks for the first time each turn, you get another combat. This, yeah, if you attack the player with the most health, that is. Sometimes it does nothing and it's just a 6 mana 5/5 dragon. Other times it basically gives all your dragons double strike. So that's pretty nice. Bladewing the Risen. This can be nice with like a Fearsome Awakening. Allows you to pull 2 dragons. Not to mention he has fire breathing for most of the time your whole board. He's a 7 mana 4/4. Getting to 7 mana in this deck isn't too hard though, and yeah, he's pretty cool. Got some funky artwork on there. Then we got a Broodmate Dragon, pure value. Like, welcome to Value Town. This guy's the mayor. He's a 6 mana 4/4 that brings another 4/4 with him. You know, there was a game I was playing against James with the clone deck, and I cloned this guy and then Rite of Replication, and I got like 30 dragons, 34/4 dragons, and that was pretty fun. Getting into the big boys here, we got a Atarka World Render. This ends the game. It's 12 power, basically 12 power, makes all your dragons very effective. I actually prefer the newer Atarka though, the Elder Dragon Atarka. She's pretty cool, but this one also not bad. An upgrade for this deck would probably take out a Broodmate Dragon for the new Atarka. Tyradom Jund. This is nice. It's a big creature with flying and haste. Other dragons you control have haste, and when it enters, you gain control of all dragons. Now, this is, most of the time this ability is like not useful at all, but whenever you do take a dragon, it's a great feeling and usually wins you the game, because if you take their 6/6 dragon, there's 13 power on board and that dragon gains haste, so usually ends the game. Balefire, great against any deck looking to play a lot of creatures. Whenever it deals combat damage, it deals that much damage to each creature that player controls. This thing is really nice. With double strike off of Atarka, it gets pretty crazy and it makes them just about impossible to keep any creatures. Vivara Hellkite, pretty great. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, you get to put a 6/6 dragon out there as well. Combos really well with Atarka. Basically you win. And I don't know, it's really nice value. And with Broodmate Dragon, also not too shabby. Hellkite Overlord. This is nice. It has a couple different abilities on there. It has Flying Trample and Haste, which is already pretty good because they can't block it with a Squadron Hawk or a any little flyer. And it has Fire Breathing on there, and for a black and a green, it regenerates. So it's pretty nice. It's like a Savage Knuckleblade, only a little bit more savage. Crux of Fate, basically a 1 mana more expensive Damnation, or not Damnation. I don't know, whatever that black card is that destroys stuff. It's choose one, destroy all dragon creatures, or the other one is destroy all non-dragon creatures. It's a board wipe, pretty effective. You get to save all your stuff. Yeah, pretty nice. Fearsome Awakening, reanimate spell. If it's a dragon, put 2/1/1 counters on it. For 5 mana, there's been plenty of reanimation spells. We have like Unburial Rites and I think it was like Pull from the Grave from M13. And this one is definitely nice for this because it just, I don't know, it'll make your make him in 10/10, so that's pretty nice right there. Then we have an Urban Evolution. There's very little blue in this deck, but you'll see why it does splash blue in a little bit. And this is a 5 mana, draw 3 cards, and you may play an additional land this turn. This is, it's always nice hitting an additional land drop, especially when your curve goes up to like 10 mana. So this one's pretty nice. Only one of though, because you don't want to draw it all the time. Now we're getting into the ramp stuff. We got 2 Wild Growth. Pretty basic. This card's been out forever and seen a bunch of reprintings. It's one of my favorite ways to ramp. We got the Amazing Shelter from Dragons of Tarkir, and this adds 2 mana to your mana pool of any color that land could produce. And this just allows you to ramp really hard, and it's an enchanted land. I don't know, it's nice. Dragon Tempest, it's a Scourge of Valkis without the body, and it's pretty nice. And it also gives the dragons haste. It allows the dragon deck to play more of a combo type deck. Very mana thirsty combo deck, but it's still pretty fun. Crucible of Fire, dragons get +3/+3. This I'm surprised this doesn't see play in standard with like all the dragons going on, and this was printed in M15. This is pretty great. If just 2 dragons out, it's 4 mana +6/+6 power, so that's pretty great. Got Chromatic Lantern, great color fixing, not to mention it taps for mana itself. Deathrender, ooh baby. Whenever the equipped creature dies, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield and attach Deathrender to it. This is a fun combo with Generator Servant, because when it dies, you got mana off of it for sacrificing it, and then you get to put out, I think it's like a turn 3 Atarka. It's a pretty great combo. Getting into the Planeswalkers, this deck runs a lot of them. We have a Sarkhan, a Sarkhan, a Sarkhan, and then the two Elder Dragons. So starting off with Sarkhan Vol. This was the first Sarkhan printed, and its creatures you control get +1/+1 and haste until end of turn. This is nice, but not the best ability. And then the second ability, gain control of target creature until end of turn, untap it, it gains haste. That's not bad. It's it could be good or it could be useless. And then -6, put 5/4 for dragons. Hitting the -6 turn 6 or turn 7, I'd say hitting it turn 6 is pretty common once you have him, just because you could ramp into him as early as turn 2. He's not the best Planeswalker though. Sarkhan the Mad. I've been trying to convince James to put Doubling Seasons into this deck, just because this makes it that much better. His first ability, it's a Dark Confidant-like ability, and then second ability, target creature's controller sacrifices it, then they put a 5/5 dragon. This combos well with Deathrender, sacrifice some little creature, and then all of a sudden it becomes some really big creature. Not to mention you get a 5/5 out of the deal. And then the final ability is each dragon you control deals damage to target player equal to its power. This is a pretty nice ability if you ever hit it. It's hard to get there because a lot of the time, like, you'll be using -2 and the 0 ability. The -4 is there though, so it's a good thing to remember. And we have the new Sarkhan the Unbroken, and it's draw a card, then add 1 mana to your mana pool of any color for its +1. That's already nice because it makes it. It basically means he costs 1 less than he does. And then -2, put a 4/4 red dragon creature with flying onto the battlefield. Also not bad, I mean, he protects himself. And -8 is an infinite dragon storm. Search your library for any number of dragons, put them onto the battlefield. Something you could do is put 4 Brodargan Hellkites in here. And then whenever they enter, deals 5 damage. And then -8 him for 20 damage, basically. Then we have Ugin and Nicol Bolas. These guys have been getting a lot of attention. And so with Ugin, his first ability is 3 damage to a creature or player. His next ability, a -X, is destroy X permanents with converted mana cost X or less, and then X or less, my bad. And then -10, you gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, then put the top 7 permanents from your hand onto the battlefield. That'll usually win you the game, or you'll just draw garbage. And then Nicol Bolas's first ability is +3, is destroy target non-creature permanent. This blows up lands, other planeswalkers, problem artifacts. Blowing up a land is usually pretty effective though. And then his -2 is gain control of target creature. This is situational, but when you do take a big creature, you'll it's definitely a lot of value. And then his -9 is the exact opposite of Ugin's, which means he deals 7 damage to target player. That player discards 7 cards and then sacrifices 7 permanents. This is very crippling. And then basically he could win the game by himself, because if you -9 him, he's still alive, and you hit the +3, they usually don't have any permanents left. And then I don't know, he's just really good. He's been seen play since he was printed in odd decks. Alright, so that's it. There's no sideboard for this deck because it's a work in progress. If we were to put a sideboard in, some cards that you would see would be another Sarkhan, and another Sarkhan. And then something else you could see would maybe be like cards like a Dragon Egg for stalling against really aggro decks. And then maybe something like a Sky Shroud Ranger. But other than that, I'm not really sure what would go in here. So thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.